Hi YouTubers, welcome back to Vintage Fashion Hat Chat. I'm Norma Shephard, the director of the Mobile Millinery Museum and the author of 5 books on vintage fashion, including 1,000 hats. And I will put a link to that book in the description box below in case you're interested. I'm bringing you some more of the hats from my vintage hat haul in Montreal, and the ones I'm bringing you today are red. I'll talk about the hat I'm wearing at the end of this video, a nod to red, but the ones I'm bringing you are really racy red, and they're from the past. Now we know nowadays it's no trouble to find a red hat, with many thanks to the Red Hat Society for bringing back hat wearing, although it's one color at a time. I have noted as well, though, that some branches of the Women's Institute have taken to wearing black or blue and gold hats. Those are their colors, and they're bringing back hat wearing at some of their teas and meetings, which is terrific. Anyway, we're going to dive right in with some red hats, and with the help of our millinery mannequin, we'll bring her back today. Now, she still remains nameless, although I have had 2 suggestions as to very appropriate names for her, but I'm going to hold off till I get perhaps a few more. Please let me know in the description box if you have an idea for what we should call our helpful little hat mannequin head. Anyway, we're going to show you this piece from the 1950s, and if you're like me, I've said it before, this type of hat makes me think of Lucille Ball. I call these little Lucy hats. Lucy and Ethel would get up to all kinds of mischief in these wonderfully fashionable little hats from the 1950s. So I'll take it off her head and just give you a closer look here. This is a very fine Milan straw. This hat has been fashioned in concentric circles from the center crown and then shaped to form this little this little flat hat. We do have these wire prongs inside, and that was quite typical as well, and that would secure the hat across the crown of your head. You could put little bobby pins if you wanted in there just to make sure that it didn't slip. And then we have a self fabric feather. Quite interesting. It's been made in segments, and it almost looks like maybe there was another sort of straw adornment here, which has it has disappeared over the years. Now this one does not have a maker's label, so that is what I can say about that. Now I want to show you a little cocktail hat, this time from the 1960s, possibly the late 50s, but this is an interesting style that was called an eggshell hat. Now the bandeaus were very popular for evening if you were going to the theater or the opera, because this is not going to obscure anybody's vision. They were also really popular for cocktail hour. And of course, if you had a brimless hat, you didn't need to worry if you were smoking. You know, picture those, and I do have some somewhere, the cigarette holders from the 50s and 60s that were so popular. They were actually designed to keep smoke from damaging the under brim of your hat if you were smoking while you were wearing a hat. So it's always about the hats, always. Anyway, these little brimless hats didn't require that, but they sure looked elegant if you still were using your cigarette holder. So this is a bandeau. It just fits across the brow. It's a beautiful little piece, and I can show you how that looks actually. So it just hugs the head like this, and then you see this little cracked egg effect. I'm not saying that anyone who wore this was an egghead. My husband would tell me I'm cracked, probably, to wear all the hats that I do. It is a really elegant look, and I love the fact that the feathers are the 2 color, the red and the black. Very, very nice. Now the next one's a real sweetie, and it's red straw as well, but it is a different type of straw. This is a cellophane straw. You can see how shiny that is. It needs a little restoration here because the wire is peeking out, and that can be easily repaired. The brim is wired, but the hat itself, again, the maker has started at the center crown and stitched these ribbons of straw, which come on a spool, and stitch them into this shape. And then the wire has the brim, sorry, and then the brim has been made separately and attached. And then, of course, these wonderful flowers which grace the brow. Now, this style was popular for quite an extensive time. You could see hats of this style in the 30s, the 40s, into the 50s. This one is a little slouch hat. So think think a little church hat maybe, or a hat to wear to work or downtown shopping, mid 20th century. And this could be easily secured with a little hat pin. Really, really sweet. Now the next one is from the late 1960s, and it's quite a bit different. It's a very coarse wood straw, and you guessed it, it is a flower pot hat. No surprise there. I mean, come on. But look at the depth of that. Look at the height. Those ladies in the late 60s. My goodness, how tall do the men have to be? It's the label says it was made in Italy for Eaton's of Canada, so it is a department store hat. Makes a little noise when you handle it. So very late 1960s, really, really sort of a nice little summer straw, but it's not going to shade your face. It's not one to wear to the beach. Now the last one I want to show you is actually quite a favorite of mine as red hats go. And this one is from the 80s actually. Okay. Very shiny straw, very shallow round crown with self fabric straw bow. And then this wonderful poppy, this wonderful fabric poppy that adorns the crown. And this isn't what I would call a Princess Diana style hat, the typical that we think with the veil over the face and the hat that comes forward. But if you look around, you will see, if you dig around on the internet, you will see images of Diana wearing this style of hat on occasion. And it has the chignon strap to secure it under the hair. It tilts over the brow a little bit, and it's secured at the back with a chignon strap. So hats with this type of interest on the top were great for garden parties, situations where you would be seated and people would see the top of your hat as they walk by. Those are my red hats. That's my little fraction of my hat haul today. And I did tell you that I would speak of my hat. This is Maria Kursik. She's a Canadian milliner in BC at the present time. You will find her online. This is not a sponsored video, but I do like her aesthetic, and I have purchased several of her hats over the years. I love that she names them, and I haven't remembered all of the names of the hats that I have purchased from her, but I do recall that this was called Flaming Desire. So it's very simply made on a satin band with this beautiful flower of black silk and then the red feathers. So there's a nod to red hats again, and another word of appreciation to the Red Hat Society for celebrating hats in general and red hats in particular. If you're interested in the subject of vintage millinery, if you have any questions about our activities, certainly up until COVID, we were doing all kinds of events at all sorts of places: retirement residences, nursing homes, service clubs, museum exhibits and museum installations, retrospective millinery fashion shows, at fundraisers, you name it. Of course, with the pandemic, we're moving forward in a bit of a different way, feeling our way forward now. But if you have any questions about that, or in millinery in general, or other aspects of vintage fashion, we do have an archive of about 3,500 catalog pieces of millinery now in the museum, and also quite a large number of vintage costume as well. And at some point I will bring you some of those pieces as well, our beautiful beaded Edwardian gowns and all sorts of things. Anyway, I thank you for watching. Please hit like, thumbs up, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll be notified of when I am posting new videos, which is always Mondays and Thursdays, but that way you won't have to remember the name of the channel and look me up to find me. Anyway, in the meantime, have a happy day.